Good evening, everybody. Welcome. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you and your families are healthy and safe and doing the best that you can. So I've been thinking a lot about this topic for this evening because it's come up a lot in my conversations one-to-one with people here in my life. And that's usually how I decide what I want to talk about when it comes to working with the team. I just pay attention to what are the common themes and patterns that I'm noticing going on, not just necessarily in Isagenix in terms of Isagenix business, but also in people's lives. What's going on? What are they talking about? And where might there be some things that are kind of, that might not be working? And is there a way for us to get things moving in the right direction, no matter what direction we're headed in? And so I heard a common theme. And so I want to talk with you guys about this tonight, because I think it's an important conversation. And I don't think we've done this type of topic in quite a while with this group. So we'll dive in head first. So what do you guys feel, and no answer is the wrong answer, what do you feel is one of the most important things to creating success in this business? Just type in the chat box. What are some of the things you believe are some of the most important things? Just type in the chat box. What are some of the things? Consistency, great. Duplication, belief, self-care, not giving up. Yeah, belief, showing up for sure. Action, yes. Mikey, you could do better with that. Using the products always, focus, duplication and action, being authentic. I like that one. Making the decision. What else? What are some of the other things that you believe? Grit, yeah, for sure. Grit is a big one. Consistency, systems, commitment. Good. Success strategies. Never shutting your shop. Well, you should at least shut your shop at least one day a week. I mean, you should rest a little bit. What else? What else? Belief and love. Yep, I love that's great. Connection, enthusiasm, making people happy, mindset. Yep, know what you want and do what you have to do. Study, practice, teach, be the product of the product, looking after yourself, having compassion. These are great. Okay, so I love all these. Having a deep why, of course, I love these are great. So what this tells me about this group is that you've been paying attention either to what we teach or what other people in this industry teach, and so that's great. These are great answers. Great answers. And all of those things are correct. They're all correct. But ultimately, there's one thing that lives beneath everything that you just listed. There's one thing that can become and stand as the foundation upon which all of those other things are built. It's the one thing that if you have it, no matter if you're in good times or bad times, it's what's going to keep you moving forward. It's something that when it's correct and when you really understand it, makes you an unstoppable force. It's something that when you have it and it's clear, that whoever you meet simply looks at you and says, okay, I want to do what you're doing. It's something that when you have it, you don't even have to speak to communicate what you're doing in the world. It's something that when you walk into a room, everybody kind of stops and goes, who is that person? And it's not energy, and it's not vision, and it's not confidence, and these are all great, and it's not presence, because all of those things that you're naming gets built on top of what you're talking about. All of these things. The foundation of everything, just like in our bodies, is alignment. The foundation of everything is alignment. My body, for example, I have a problem with my right hip. And I have a problem with my right hip because of my years of playing football, of playing actual football, not American football, okay? So I have a problem with my right hip. So at least once a week, I have to go to the chiropractor and I have to get my hip adjusted so that I'm in alignment, so that my body has the correct posture and it can be supported. If I'm out of alignment, what starts to happen? My knees start to hurt, my back starts to hurt, my shoulders start to scrunch forward. Everything about my body starts to feel bad when I'm not physically in alignment. How many of you have had that experience? Drop a 2 in the chat box, right? How many of you have had that experience where you toss your back out, you hurt your shoulder, whatever it is, okay? And you're out of alignment physically. And when we're physically out of alignment, it's really hard to get stronger. It's really hard to get better. It's really hard. That's why one of the things I remember, Mikey, I've only worked out in his gym a couple of times. I remember it wasn't, hey, you need to lift heavier. It's no. It's look at your form. You're out of alignment. There's no point in doing this exercise if you don't do it the right way, right? If you're not in alignment with the way something's designed, you're not going to maximize the effect. So that's the physical aspects of alignment. But there's a deeper energetic level to alignment that I promise you that when you click into it, when you tap into it, when you have it up and down, right and left, when you have that as a foundation, when you have that alignment, everything starts to get better in your life. Everything, not just your business, your relationships, your parenting, your job if you have one, your mood, your physical body. Everything gets better when you're in alignment. But in alignment with what? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Well, what do I want to be in alignment with? Well, the first thing is we can go two ways. We can look at this from a practical perspective and we can talk about values and integrity, and we'll talk about that. You can also look at it, and again, this is based on your own personal belief system, from a spiritual perspective and what that means to you, and being in alignment with whatever you believe to be bigger than you in this world. And again, personal belief systems. But regardless, even if it's spiritual or even if it's practical, alignment is really about identifying, okay, who am I in the world? Who am I in the world? Not what's my job, not how many kids do I have, not the story I've been telling myself forever, not my CV, not how much money I have in the bank account, not my title with Isagenix. That's not who you are. How many of you would agree with that? Drop a 3 in the chat box, because none of those things are anything but labels that we give to ourselves to kind of deal with life, quite frankly. So then, beneath all the BS and all the junk, who am I? Well, that's a choice that you get to make. So who do you want to be? What are some words? Type in the chat box. Who do you want to be? What are some words? When you think about who you want to be as a person, what are some words? Happy and content. Wonderful. What else? Loyal. I love that. What else? Certain and healthy. Great. What else? Loving. Calm. Yeah. What else? Strong. Good. The best version in every aspect. Happy, fulfilled. What else? Loving, strong, resilient, serene, loving, person, peaceful, true to myself, peaceful mind, joyful. What else? What are some others? Inspiring. That's one of mine, Ed. I love that one. Yep. What else? Loving, real, funny. We probably have some work to do there for you. What else? What are some other ones? Kindness, maybe. Generous, grateful, optimistic, harmonious, tranquil, magnetic. I love that. Dynamic. What are some other words? Don't hold back. Helping. I love that. What else? Myself, me. What are some other ways? Who do you want to be? Giving, generous, bring value to somebody else. So Tori, the question is, we're talking about underlying the foundation of our lives as being in alignment with who we really want to be in the world. Who am I beyond the typical titles and things like that? So who am I? Who do I want to be? Honest. What are some other ones? Resourceful, passionate. Okay. Now drop a 4 in the chat box. How many of you are struggling to come up with more than one word or struggling to come up with any words whatsoever? Just drop a 4 in the chat box. Okay. So isn't this interesting? Isn't this interesting? And why are we having a hard time coming up with these words? Because no one, for the most part, ever stops to consider, what do I really want? Who do I really want to be? And why is that? Well, we're kids. And the next thing we do, we blink and we wake up and we're adults. And when we're adults, what does that mean? We have responsibilities. So I have to pay the bills, and I have to be the best husband or the best wife or the best partner or the best parent, or I have to be the best teacher or the best, human resources employee or the best doctor, or I have to do this or I have to do that. And I live all of my life subscribing to these rules and these definitions that I didn't even write for myself. And I start living my entire life based on definitions of life and success and happiness that, guess what, probably were written by someone else. That's kind of crazy when you think about it, isn't it? That up until the point that we start to ask ourselves bigger questions, we kind of, for the most part, start to live our lives on autopilot. And then we wake up one day because we get introduced to personal development and this crazy thing called network marketing, right? And we start to learn all these new things and we go, wait a minute. I don't want to make money the way I've always made money. I don't want to eat the way I've always eaten. And so we start to challenge the rules a little bit. Like Isabel's saying, right? We start to challenge those rules a little bit. We start to think a little bit differently. But even in this process, what do? We start to think a little bit differently. And then you hear me say, you got to take action. And so what do? We take action. But are we taking conscious action or are we taking unconscious action? We're kind of taking unconscious action, right? We're not really thinking about it. We're just going about it. Learn the templates, talk with people, go to the events, follow up, get on the calls, post on social media. We're doing all the day-to-day actions, and all of those things are important. But do we ever stop and go, who am I while I'm doing this? But the bigger question is, do we ever stop and ask, who am I when I'm not doing this? And that's the big question about alignment. That's what alignment really is. It's not just who am I being when I'm doing Isagenix. It's not who am I being just because, oh, I'm going to do an Instagram story right now and this is good for marketing, so I'm going to pretend. It's who am I being when the lights are turned off? Who am I being when no one can see me? Who am I being when I'm just alone with my own thoughts? How am I speaking to myself? How am I speaking about other people? Am I complaining all the time? Am I living inside of the word that I just wrote down? How often am I doing that? Not as often as I would like. Am I being present? Am I being generous? Am I being fulfilled in what I do? Am I being happy? Am I choosing a healthy lifestyle? Am I being in supportive environments and relationships that I really do love? Am I actually creating that self, creating this for me based on a solid foundation? Or am I running around, and this is more of an American saying, and maybe it works there as well, or am I running around like a chicken with my head cut off? You guys have that saying somewhere, like a chicken with my head cut off? Because that's how the headless chicken, perfect. That's how most people live their lives. Even people that are creating great results financially. Even people that I know that I'm friends with that make a ton of money, they're not really successful. And why aren't they successful? Because just like my hip goes out sometimes, their alignment goes out all the time. And why? Because there's a disconnect between who they really are and who they think that they need to be. And if you can figure that out in your own life, if you can identify who I am versus who I think I'm supposed to be, and you can learn to choose who I am, everything about your world will go from here to here in the blink of an eye. And all the skills matter. They do. And all the hard work matters. It does. But it's when you're connected at a deeper level to who you are beyond the story of what you've told yourself and what others have told you. When you can come into that person and take action from that place, you move mountains. You move mountains because you walk into a room and and I'll answer that question for you, Saskia. You walk into a room or you get on a Zoom call or whatever it is, and all you have to do is take a deep breath, and guess what everyone does with you? They breathe too. Because you're so rooted and you're so anchored and you're slowed down just enough and you carry such presence about you because you're so certain of who you are that people look at you And they don't even realize what's happening, but what's happening is you're showing them a reflection of how they wish they could be. And so I want you to spend some time on that question. Beyond all the stories I've told myself over the years, beyond all the stories other people have told me, beyond all the things that I thought I needed to be, beyond all the things I used to or think I'm supposed to believe, what if I just started to consider a different possibility? And then, as you get the answers to these questions, and guess what? You don't need to pay $25,000 for coaching to get this. You're getting it right now. I'm giving you hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of my own investing into myself. This is it. This is one of the beautiful things about network marketing. You can just take these questions, start to peel them back a little bit. And then here's what we identify. We identify, okay, who am I beyond all the crap? Beyond all of it. Well, years and years and years ago, I got really clear. I said, who am I beyond all the bullshit? And what I came up with for me, what felt true for me, and to this day, it's still true for me, is simply, very simple, that I'm an inspiring, powerful, loving man. That's it. I'm an inspiring, powerful, loving man. That was it. So when Saskia asked, how do I get in alignment? The very first thing I do is every single morning, I write that down. Every single morning. And then before I go into any environment or any situation, I just pause and I ask myself, and I just did this the other day, because I'm not perfect by any means. I can be short, I can be distanced, I can be emotionally detached at times, but I use a strategy, very simple. I picture that my life is a movie, and I go, right now I'm not in alignment. My character is out of whack. This isn't how my character normally operates. I'm about to go into a new scene. And this scene involves another person. What person do I want to give to the person that I'm about to be with? I want to give them the powerful part of me, the inspiring part of me, the loving part of me. And so I just take that pause and I take that breath before most things that I do. And it literally allows my character to just connect. And then I move into that situation. So just spend a little bit of time tonight, tomorrow, just ask, who am I beyond all the bullshit? Who am I beyond what my ego tells me is cool or awesome or, attractive or blah, 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 blah. Who am I beyond how I've been influenced by society, by social media, by blah, 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 blah. Who am I beyond all that? When you strip it all away, who am I in this lifetime, in this experience, in this existence? And we all have different beliefs on here, different spiritual beliefs, different religious beliefs, and they're all great. But the one thing we all share is we share a mind, we share a heart, we share feeling, we share emotions, we share that we've had parents in some form or another. We were brought into this world by somebody, right? We share those things. We share traumatic events, probably. We share birth, we share death. And we share, most importantly of all, the fact that we are all spinning around on a little blue ball in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And none of us really has any answers to anything, which is really exciting and really cool, because what it means is we get to design the rules in terms of, what do I want the movie to look like? What's going to feel best for you? What's going to allow you to want to continue towards working into that fundamental piece of alignment? Because when you do, life feels better. And then it becomes really tough, because you've got to be willing to challenge yourself. You've got to be willing to look at the nuances and the habits and the tics and the thoughts and go, wait a minute, this is old. This is old, right? So for example, what's a really normal response that a lot of people, something's stressful, you have anxiety, you got in a fight with a partner. And what do a lot of people in the world do, in Europe and in America and Canada and Australia? What do we do? Oh, I'll have a drink. It'll help settle me down. I'll have some alcohol. Okay, cool. I got it. I've done it. It's cool. But is it in alignment with being loving towards yourself? Is it in alignment with being giving towards yourself? Well, I get really angry sometimes and I yell at people. Is that in alignment? Probably not. So what can I do? I need to create triggers. I need to create an opportunity so that before I'm going to get angry, I just stop and I just breathe so I can get centered, and I can look across from me and go, does this person even deserve for me to be angry with them? Probably not. And how else can I get into alignment quickly and rapidly? Well, a very simple 3-part system. And I've taught some of you this from years ago, but it's my key to life. It's my key to staying in alignment. Want to know what it is? It's real simple. Forgiveness, compassion, gratitude. When you can live in that space, and when I mean forgiveness, I mean like instant forgiveness. Instant forgiveness. And that's something David Wood will talk about at UIA, probably, especially with the leaders that have the small leadership training. Radical instant forgiveness. No complaining, no blaming, no judging, no criticizing. Radical instant forgiveness. But how can I forgive so quickly? Well, what was the other word I used? Compassion. And what is compassion? Compassion is not agreeing with why somebody does what they did. That's not what compassion is. Compassion is a willingness to put yourself into another person's shoes, consider their history, consider their background, consider how they were raised, consider where they are in their life. And it's asking yourself the question of, based on who they are and how they think about themselves, can I understand, not agree with, but can I understand how they arrived at that position in this conversation? Yeah, okay. It doesn't mean I have to agree with it. But at least it allows me to connect in a way that says, hey, I don't agree with you, but I hear you and I see you. And because I'm willing to take that position of, I don't agree with you, but I hear you and I see you, guess what I create? I take what was a wall and I create space. And what happens when you create space is that then you can create anything new for forward movement. Is that helpful? And then the last thing is gratitude. And sometimes it's not easy to be grateful. It's not. Sometimes it's really hard to be grateful. And so in those moments where you're having a hard time finding something to be grateful for, consider being grateful that you even have the ability to choose a different thought. That you're such a miracle as a human being. Think about that for a moment, that you're such a miracle that you have the gift of a brain and of a heart and of a soul that literally allows you to take a deep breath and says, wow, I can look at this in a different way. Because you know who can't? Worms, ants, flies. They can't. They don't have that sentient ability. But you do as a human. So spend some time. Ask some questions. Who do you want to be in this lifetime, in this world, in this experience? Get clear. And then you go to work every single day, not to be perfect, because it's never going to happen, but to do your best, to let that principle or that word that you chose, those words, I'd say try and come up with 2 or 3, to let that guide you. Because then it becomes very serious, very simple. Those words, how you come up with that agreement with yourself, for me, I call it my contract, right? It's a contract I have with myself. My contract, I'm an inspiring, powerful, loving man. And then what I know is my contract is from my soul. For me, it's from my soul. Okay. That's my soul contract with me. And before I take an action, I go, wait a minute. Is this from ego or is this from soul? It's from ego. And what do I know for sure? I know that every time I move from ego, I move further away from soul. And guess what? Every time I move further away from soul, I move closer to depression, anger, resentment, fear, anxiety, doubt, worry, sabotage, frustration, blame, victimization, you name it. So if you go to work on that part, just that foundational part of who am I beyond the bullshit, and you learn to come from that space, you won't move tiny little hills. You'll move mountains. People will come to you from all over simply because they'll want to understand and learn. How? How did you wake up from such a deep sleep? How did you stop living like a zombie? How did you stop just going through the motions? How did you actually get to a place where you feel good about your life? As if we shouldn't in the first place, because that's the other part of the story that people get told, isn't it? Life is hard. Life is hard. Life is bad. Life is a struggle. And it's not to say that those things don't exist in the world. They do. But guess what they are? They're just one side of the coin. And if they're one side of the coin, then logically, guess what that means? That means there's another side of the coin. And the real key to living a great life is to learn how to spend more time on the good side of the coin than on the bad side of the coin. And what is it that keeps that coin together? It's our choices. It's our choices. The thing that wraps around the two sides of the coin, good life, bad life, good feelings, bad feelings, anger versus joy, love versus fear. The thing wrapped around the coin that keeps the coin together is our choices. So the thing that determines whether it falls onto the good side for the day or the bad side for the day are our choices. And the more that you make choices that are in alignment with who you are beyond the story of what the world told you that you're supposed to be, the more time you'll spend on the good side of the coin. Lots of love, sending you everything from me to you. And of course, on behalf of Eden, have a wonderful evening. I'm going to post in the group, what did you learn? Maybe you learned a couple things, maybe you didn't. Anyways, love you. Talk soon. Good night.